Calamity Mod is one of, if not the biggest constant mod in all of Terraria. Calamity adds more than 20 bosses to the game, countless new weapons, and even a new class. In this playthrough, I'll be playing as the Ranger class. Although I'm not only using Calamity Mod, I have a few quality of life mods to make it a little easier. Here's all the mods I will be using in this playthrough. Now that the introduction is over, let's get into the video. Now that I've spawned in, you might notice some of the quality of life mods I'm using, including a starter kit that speeds up early game progression, and a starter bag that gives you a decent weapon from whatever your mod you're using. Now that I have all my starter gear, I decided to chop down some trees and flatten the area so I have somewhere to place all my crafting stations and make a base. After I flattened out the area on the surface, I decided to go explore the cave that was near where I spawned. I didn't really find anything good other than this aglet. Even though I had a lot of ores now from mining, I did something really stupid. On my recording software, I had my start recording button on O and my end recording button on P. So when I opened the recipe browser and typed in P to find something, it ended the recording. This ended up in me losing about 30 to 40 minutes of footage, so here's the next clip. Once I finally realized what I had done, I started recording in the middle of my Desert Scourge fight. Now, the only improvements to my gear that I made was getting the Undertaker from the Crimson. Once I finally killed the Desert Scourge, which took about 2.5 minutes, I was greeted by a nice blood moon. Once I had finally finished dealing with that fun event, I was greeted by another great occurrence. Yep, that's right. The second after the blood moon finished, a goblin army arrived. Now, normally, getting a goblin army this early would be pretty good, because you can get the goblin tinkerer really early. But, with my luck, I never find the goblin tinkerer. And even with this goblin army being defeated early pre-hard mode, I still didn't find the goblin tinkerer until hard mode. After I defeated the goblin army, I decided to go fight the Desert Scourge again so I can make Victite armor, which was a really good armor set for early pre-hard mode. Once I got back home, I realized the traveling merchant was selling the money collector, which is a really good item to have, but I didn't have enough money to get it, and this happened 3 more times. Now that I had the Victite armor, I decided to make the suspicious looking eye so that I can fight the Eye of Cthulhu. But, as it wasn't nighttime yet, I decided to go make an arena to fight the Brain of Cthulhu. Now that my small arena was finished, it was time to fight the Brain of Cthulhu. Now, I expected the Brain of Cthulhu fight to be kinda difficult, but the Mini Shark is so good for this stage of pre-hard mode. Once I took out the Brain of Cthulhu, I went home and saw it was nighttime, so I decided to fight the Eye of Cthulhu. Now, I never expect the Eye of Cthulhu fight to be hard, and it never is, but it just takes a really long time. Now that the fight was over, I made the Deathbringer pickaxe, which is really the only thing I needed from the Brain of Cthulhu. Now that I had the pickaxe, I decided to make another really useful item called the Auto Elevator, which just automatically makes a giant hole down to the underworld. Crafting didn't really take that long, all it took was a lot of money and buying a lot of items from NPCs. After I created the Auto Elevator, I decided to create another item from the same mod called the Arena Platform Builder, which builds a 200 block long platform to make an arena. Now that I had somewhere to go and mine, I decided to get some obsidian, but with Vein Miner, I forgot that sometimes you can fall straight into the lava. Now that I had obsidian, I decided to go mine hellstone ore so I can make the bars. And I got quite a bit of the ore. From this one mining trip, I got 1,262 hellstone ore. Once I got back up to the surface, I realized the traveling merchant was again selling the money collector. But I forgot to get a hellforge to make the bars. So that meant I had to go all the way down to the underworld to get one, but the second I picked it up, the traveling merchant just left. Now if I remembered to get a hellforge and make the bars earlier, I would have had more than 2 platinum to buy the money collector. After that sad occurrence, I went to fight the Eye of Cthulhu for some money, so this would not ever happen again. After I was finished farming money, I decided it was time for me to go find the meteor to make the star cannon. Now, usually I don't have that much difficulty finding the meteor, but I chose the right side this time, but when I got to the dungeon, I decided I should just stop there. Now, usually this wouldn't be a problem, but the meteor is actually located on the other side of the dungeon. But I didn't think it could be located there, so I just decided to, go explore the entire left side of the map, and then go back to the right side, because it was apparently behind the dungeon. Look at that, right behind the dungeon. Once I finally got back home, I crafted the star cannon, and if you're playing ranged in any playthrough, this weapon is by far the best weapon in pre-hard mode. Now that I have my weapon, I decided I needed to get better gear, which means I have to fight Slime God. Now usually, Slime God is a pretty difficult boss, but when you're using the star cannon, it's not hard at all. Now that I've killed Slime God, I remembered that I need the Static Refiner, which you need the Solidifier for, which means I have to kill King Slime. As expected though, King Slime didn't stand a chance against my Star Cannon. At this point though, I was very happy I didn't sell those Hellstone bars, because I needed them to make the Satagel armor. Now that I was all geared up, I decided it was time to fight some bosses, so I headed to the Crimson to fight the Perforator Hive. Once I spawned in the Perforator Hive, I remembered he had a fun mechanic where if you don't kill his worms before you kill him, he won't give you the Aerialite ore. Thankfully, I didn't mess it up this time, and the Perforator Hive went down with ease. Now that the Perforator Hive was dead, I went to go mine Aerialite ore so I can make the Harpy Ring and Skyline Wings. Now that I had the Aerialite ore for both of those items, I had to spend a very long time getting 10 feathers. Getting only this many feathers took me around 20 minutes to do. At this point I had the Harpy Ring, but I remembered that Skyline Wings need bones, so I had to go kill Skeletron. Once I got to the dungeon, I made a small arena, and using this mod called Sun and Moonlight Potions, I made it nighttime and spawned Skeletron. This is what happened. So apparently, it wasn't nighttime yet, and the potion didn't work, so Skeletron decided to one-shot me. Once I recovered from that incident, I decided to go back to the dungeon and rematch Skeletron. Now, because I was playing ranged, Skeletron is technically an optional boss, but I really wanted the Skyline Wings. Once I had taken out Skeletron, I went straight back home and made the Skyline Wings. Now that I had my wings, I decided to make a platform for where I would fight the Wall of Flesh. Without giving myself much time to prepare, I decided to fight the Wall of Flesh right after I finished the platform. After I defeated the Wall of Flesh, I checked my inventory and saw that I got the Ranger emblem first try. Now that the world was in hard mode, I headed to the underground hollowed to get Souls of Light. I grinded for a very long time to get more than 100 souls because my ideal setup to fight the mech bosses is using the Daedalus Stormbow, which drops from hollowed mimics. I also went to the Underground Crimson to get Souls of Night, because I wanted to make an item called the Cosmolite, which changes time from night to day. After I finished grinding souls, I decided I needed to get an item from the Louis AFK mod called the Ultimate Battler buff. This item makes mobs spawn a lot more than they usually do. After I crafted the item, I headed up to my Sky Island to check out how it works, and it spawns quite a few enemies. After that experience, I collected all the Essence of Sunlight and created the Cosmolite. After I made the Cosmolite, I decided to go and try to get the Daedalus Stormbow, which usually takes me a lot of tries, so I made 2 keys of light just to be sure. And I still don't believe this, but this Hollow Mimic dropped not only the Daedalus Stormbow, but also the even rarer Celestial Claymore. Since I stole another key, I decided to fight the other Hollow Mimic, and it dropped the File Shard. I started making holy arrows to make the Daedalus Stormbow really good, but then I remembered you need a mithril anvil to make them. So, because of Calamity's progression, I had to fight the Destroyer. The Daedalus Stormbow made quick work of the Destroyer, even though I wasn't using holy arrows. Now that my world had mithril and orichalcum, I decided to go mine for ores. Now that I had all the ores I needed, I decided to make full mithril armor for extra defense before I fight the next mech bosses. At this point I had holy arrows, but I decided I should get the Mega Shark as well for extra weapons. After I obtained the Mega Shark, I decided it was time to fight the twins. Other than a few close calls at the end, the twins went down pretty easily. Now that my world had adamantite and titanium, I had to go mining again. Remember how I said I didn't find the Goblin Tinker until hard mode? Well, look who decided to show up. Now that I had all the ores I needed, I decided to make full titanium armor so I can fight Skeletron Prime. Now that I was all geared up, it was time to fight Skeletron Prime. Like the Eye of Cthulhu, Skeletron Prime is another boss that's really easy, but takes a very long time. Now that Skeletron Prime's been defeated, I can make the Angel Treads and the Pickaxe Axe. To prepare for fighting the Calamitous clone, I decided to face the Brimstone Elemental. Now it was time to face the hardest boss I've fought yet, Calamitous. At this point, I thought I would win the battle easily, but I got hit multiple times, dropping my health down to 10. This meant that I would have to survive Calamitus' final dodge phase without getting hit once. I had done it. I defeated the Calamitous clone. Now that I had defeated Calamitous, I decided it was time to make an arena to fight Plantera. Now that the arena was finished, it was time to battle Plantera. After I had defeated Plantera, I went back home and made a new weapon called the Terra Flamethrower. Once I had found the temple, I decided to use my arena platform builder to make an arena and fight Golem. Now that I had defeated Golem, that would end part 1 of this playthrough. If you've gotten to this point in the video, I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and part 2 of this playthrough is coming soon.